Everybody, it's Pastor Matt. This is the Fortcast for this week. We're excited to have our own Anna's dad joining us. John Fugh is going to be with us for this discussion as we talk about all things COVID and church and what the future of the church is going to be like. He's a minister at another church here in town, and it's a pretty interesting discussion about technology and church. So thank you for tuning in, and enjoy the discussion. You know, it's a straight ripoff of my brother's podcast room.
Is it really?
Well, we weren't going to do this in here. We were going to do these 3D panels in the sanctuary to make the backdrop look better. Mm-hmm. Because, I know right now what's happening online is as important, maybe more, than what's happening in the room. It's not, you're not recording what's happening in the sanctuary and then it's an afterthought that it's going out. If what I'm hearing, and you're probably hearing the same stuff, the amount of people who are actually coming back to in-person services is less than 50%, a lot less in many cases. And with what's going on this week, the spike in cases, and they're talking about the hospitals, so we're due to start, as we record this, it's July, what's today's date? 7th. So we're due to start this week, July 12th, Sunday. We'd made the announcement and decision, several weeks back after we had already put it off. And so now, everybody's talking about the hospitals filling up. And, of course, I'm not sure if all that's true. It's Facebook stuff or whatever. But so whatever crowd we thought we would have that would be smaller, it's probably going to be even smaller than that this week. So, but we decided to venture ahead. But anyway, let's get back to the wall, and then we'll talk about that stuff.
Where are we?
So I don't know if you've seen these 3D kind of textured panels. You can throw different color lights on them as backdrops on stage. And so we're looking at those. And then my brother at his church does a podcast. In their podcast room, they've got this. This is brick paneling stuff. And so we can throw that up on the sanctuary. And we had this left over, so we went ahead and put it in here. I think it looks good.
I think it does too.
Yeah?
It looks really good.
So we need to tell everybody who you are. This is John Fugh. John, and maybe I'll introduce you in the intro too, but who knows. But John Fugh is associate pastor at St. Paul United Methodist Church. And you share the last name of Anna Fugh, who is who's here with us producing. Hey, Anna.
Hi, guys.
So you guys are related, right?
Unfortunately.
Well, we sometimes make that public, and now I guess I can't hide behind anything else. I guess, she does.
All right. So people may be watching this later, but as of today, July 7th, 2020, Anna, your daughter, and Sam, my son, are dating.
Yes.
Now, we know they're young. All that could change tomorrow, whatever. But right now, they're dating.
Sam, you are a saint. You are. I'm telling you what.
And so you guys have been dating for a while, right?
Yes.
How long now?
Like a year and a half.
Seriously?
I think. Yeah.
Wow. All right. And this is the first time John and I have ever talked or met. No, just kidding. So Sam and Anna are kind of interning. They're not kind of. They are interning here at the church, and they're doing all kinds of cool production stuff behind the scenes. Of course, both of them play in the band, but they're doing an amazing job. And the reason all this stuff is looking so much better is because of them. And they're super skilled on the computers and the camera and all that stuff. And so they're doing a great job. Anna is doing a great job. I just want to report she's doing a wonderful job. So, John, I got that right? You're associate pastor at St. Paul?
Yep.
All right. How long have you been there?
10 years.
Really?
Been down there 10 years, yeah.
And before that, you were...
Well, I had a little stint where we were finishing up my seminary at Asbury Theological Seminary. And from 2007 to 2010, I graduated in 2009, December. But 2010, I came to St. Paul here in Columbus. Before that, I had 10 years at St. Luke as their youth director, and 8 years as youth director, and then 2 years as their media and ministry and technology.
Media and technology.
Media and technology, yeah.
Media and technology. So you know all about all this kind of stuff. So I'm a novice. I'm a baby.
Well, if you use the big words, everybody will think you know what you're talking about, right?
Well,
that's what I've just gotten away with.
That's That's the theory I have when I'm reading, names in the Bible. I just go loud and proud. I just a lot of confidence. They don't know. People don't know. They don't have any idea.
No idea. As long as you say it without a stutter or
yeah.
say beforehand,
that's right.
they'll assume that
Yeah.
it's right.
Yeah, Mephibosheth. All right, so so you were at St. Luke, so as a youth minister, and so how did you get into the technology stuff? Is this something that interests you?
Well, actually, when I was 14 or 15, I started to get interested in computers, and I remember trying to convince my dad to buy me a computer back in 1980 something, and boy, it was like pulling teeth. It really was.
Like a Commodore.
It was a Radio Shack Coco color computer. It really by Tandy Radio Shack, and it had, instead of a hard drive, it had a tape recorder that you saved your data on, and. But I started taking computers apart, putting them together again, and just seeing how they worked on the inside. I wrote some software for my dad's pharmacy that he started using, and then we moved up to the Tandy 1000. How about that? We went from the color computer to the Tandy 1000. And look, you can Google those, and you can see images on those. Those things are old school. I mean, and so that's how I started, getting involved in computers and technology, and sure enough, over time, it just, started taking other things apart,
Right. Coming in pretty handy nowadays.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
When we move church to all on the computer, basically, is what it is. You got
Right.
computer church. But you had like your own business doing networking stuff, right?
Yeah, I did that when I was at St. Luke. Worked at TSIS for a year or so.
Okay.
And
So getting our Wi-Fi working here at the church and all, so it's good. But yeah, I mean, so tell me, I mean, I think maybe some people are interested. I don't know. It is such a different time for church, and has been over the last 3 months or so. But I just keep trying to come to terms with the fact it's going to be different for a long time. Whether that's months or years or whatever, but it's not going to be in a few weeks. Things are going to be back to normal.
Yeah.
Which I was sort of at the beginning of this thing. I thought, yeah, we'll just get through this and it'll all be back to normal. But it's going to be different for a long time. And so when this thing hit, I mean, how did you guys? Y'all were doing some online stuff before, right? Were you streaming?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it was back in March. I remember that is when we actually, in all the churches, they stopped meeting for live worship. And I got to tell you, in the back of my mind, what I was thinking, and most folks at St. Paul were, this is just going to be for a couple weeks,
Right.
And we're thinking we'll be back on Easter, we'll be back maybe a week before, and we're thinking, what a great celebration to come back, and man, we'll have lunch on the grounds, and we'll just have this huge celebration of being back, and boy. If we knew then what we know now, I wonder what how our psyche would have been at that time. But this whole idea of being sheltered in place, and church moving to online, and the social distancing, deep down inside, as an introvert, I got to tell you, this has been like, in a candy store for me, as an introvert. But really, it's that idea of thinking we're always waiting for getting back to what we think is normal, back to normal. What's it going to be like? And I think now I'm thinking and truly believing that I've thrown what was normal out the window.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to embrace a new plateau, a new normal.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is yet. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
I know in ministry, it's been, you really want to have an idea of what next month, next year, next 5 years look like. And boy, that really we have been stifled in this.
Yeah, as a leader, I mean, you're always hopefully thinking down the road, where if you're going to lead people to a certain place, you need
gotta know
to
where
have a
you're
vision
going.
of where you're going. And so, yeah, last week I'm going, all right, well, we're opening back up. So we got that in my mind. It's in the future, but in my mind, it's in the past because we've already done that. We know what work we have to do to make that happen. So all that's done. The plan's done. That's going to happen one way or the other. And so now I'm thinking about what's happening the next month and the month after that. And, and I go, well, this is harder than I think.
Yes.
You start talking about small groups and, and mission activities and, all the things that, you would normally be a part of your church calendar, and everything is still kind of up in the air. And, when they're still debating on whether or not kids are going to go back to school or if there's going to be football, and these things are, of course, and you got people over here, of course there is, and people are here, no the way there's not. Yeah. And when you realize those people are in the room making those decisions, they're hashing that out. If you think you know which way it's going, you're mistaken, or so I don't know. So yeah, I'm like you. We just gotta, whatever the new thing is.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to be. So we just gotta.
Yeah, I'll share with you. So being at St. Paul for 10 years, I have learned a lot. When I started in youth ministry when I was 18, I had no desire to be a senior minister. I really didn't, and I had those blinders on to really keep me focused on youth ministry. I'm glad I did it. So I went to Bible school, and then I started working in churches and stuff like that, and Shelbyville, Kentucky, Pineville, Louisiana, at St. Luke. And I remember that the call process where we just started feeling that, senior minister was, or at least being part of the clergy, being a minister, being ordained, was in the future for us, my wife and I, Lisa, and so the difference between 2010 and now, since I've been at St. Paul, as I tell you, one of the things that has just really been scratching at my soul and my heart has been during this time. I have filled a need along with some really great employees and staff members and volunteers to do church online and at least get things running and stuff like that. But what I have missed has been that outlet for what I'm studying. Yeah. For that, to be able to, I miss going out to nursing homes and doing a Sunday service or a Bible study or teaching a Sunday school class or preaching. I was preaching 48 times a year, and so I've missed that, and it's kind of been bottled up. So the tension, not only about where we will be in the future, the tension inside of me is this new present. I don't want to say a new normal, but this new present of tension inside of me of wanting to teach and wanting to. And so even in those midst has been getting ourselves, at least myself, around the idea of now, what is it going to be like teaching online? Right. Yeah. How do you, Bible studies, Zoom, live, on demand, just all these. And, then you start thinking about youth ministry, children's ministry, and it's...
I'm way over Zoom.
I'm zoomed out.
Yeah, I'm way over that for sure. But yeah, when before all of this, we knew that we wanted to up our online presence,
right?
Create more content. And the theory then for me was, if the kind of new normal then was people were attending church less. Your regular church members, your regular church attenders were attending less. Went from 2 out of every 4 Sundays to 1 out of, every 4 Sundays, whatever. And that's a regular attender. Well, you think, well, gosh, if I'm only, getting to see them, 1 time a month or 2 times a month, right, then they're not getting, we're not connecting that well. Yeah. And for me as a pastor, called to be an under shepherd of Christ, to lead people and to love people and to see them protected and nurtured, it was really a struggle. And so what do we do? And so we need to find them where they are, communicate where they are, and so we started doing stuff like this, and we're still learning and trying to be more consistent, and but really trying to find all the ways that we can and to communicate to our people, the people that we love, and those who don't know the Lord, those who are far from Him and need to hear the gospel. And so we've been trying to double down on technology and making it as good as possible. And
Yeah, and I think what people I think now are starting, members and congregations are starting to now realize and see, that the church, corporate, worldwide, is God's venue for discipleship, for community, for encouragement, for all those things that Paul did for us as an example that Luke records in Acts, the teaching, the organizational hierarchy of how church is done. And then, now that we are thrust into this new normal of church being closed, all those people that were kind of pushing back on online, now they're in it, but then they're missing the community.
Yeah,
they're voyeuristically watching church as they would like. My brother lives in Pittsburgh, and he says the best thing I love about watching you online is I can hit pause. And he says I can go and fix breakfast or do something, then come back maybe, or when it's like a convenient time or whatnot.
I thought you were going to say because he could mute it. But, yeah, the going back to that thought of people attending less. Well, now it went from none. Right, we're in this period of no attendance, and now it's going to be, you're going to have a huge part of your population that are not going to return quickly, and a lot of them may not. That depending on how this thing drags on.
Right.
People are talking about, the life kind of looking like this with masks and all this stuff for a year or what, it's hard for me to comprehend. It's hard for me to think of that. But so it's got to be rethought. And you bring up discipleship, and Paul saying entrust these things to faithful men so that they can you pass it down. You, like Jesus said, make disciples. They did that, and all the ways that you might normally organically do that through talking to people after the service and seeing their extra interest. They're asking those questions, and you kind of see who those people are who are growing in their faith and want to be that you would invite into to whether that's to have lunch or into a Bible study or and of course you always have your organized stuff. You got your small groups, and
sure.
But you know what I'm saying. Those relationships where you're trying to meet people where they are. You see what's going on, and so much of what I feel like is ministry, is that And when it comes to preaching, this been preaching just at a camera like that has just been so difficult because I'm have to try and imagine who's watching.
Yeah.
If you don't, it just for me, it's just kind of this very empty experience.
And so what we miss is that immediate feedback that evaluates our ministry. Yeah. That kind of we're able to go to the hospitals and visit. We were able to go and make contact, and we were able to go visit and all these kind of things. Now, we're not able to do that. We're stopped at the hospital doors. We're not able to go to nursing homes and visit, and we're having to keep distance and stuff like that. And I know for myself, and I'm certain it's probably for you too, it's really challenged.
Am I worthless now?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because we get a lot of we're vocational ministers. What we do is ministry. All of us are called to ministry, right? But we've chosen and been called to a vocation, a ministry of vocation. Our vocation is ministry. And so now, not as our self-worth, our ministry and stuff like that, it's really got us, prompting us to trust more. Yeah. Trust that, the Holy Spirit's got this, and God's moving, and God's doing some things. And I think I'd speak for myself, but I'm sure from conversations we've had before, those bubble in all of us.
Yeah. I think it's for a lot of ministers, there's going to be a continued sort of levels of trauma that this whole thing, and there's people who are sick, and there's people going through financial problems. So the emotional state of pastors through this thing maybe not a primary concern, but who are worried, like my crowd's not as big, but it's not just that. I mean, this is what, from the time I was 18 years old, I felt like I was called to do, and if it looked a certain way for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so now it just looks very different. Yeah. And your hope is that it'll kind of come back to what I'm used to, but it's a real paradigm shift, and that we're still trying to deal with, still trying to figure out. So you guys do a lot of stuff online. I mean, y'all were doing a ton of stuff online even before that. What do you call the Reverend Doctor? Is he the lead, the senior?
He's a senior minister, yeah.
Senior minister. All right. So Reverend Dr. Shane P. Green.
P. Shane Green.
P. Shane Green. Oh, yeah. Whatever. Green peas. All right. So anyway, Shane and my brother kind of grew up together, good friends. But y'all were doing all kinds of stuff. He would tell me, he said, my associate is great. This is before I knew you. He's great. He's got everything online. He's just a whiz with all the streaming stuff. We stream everything, and he's telling me all the Bible stuff. I was like, why do you do that to yourself? Like, but anyway, y'all were doing a ton before. So, I mean, when all this hit, I mean, you had to feel like, hey, we're positioned pretty good. I mean, we're still, you didn't have to revolutionize what you were doing, right?
No, so the major change, that we made was we were not just broadcasting what was live, and then we would upload that recording to YouTube or our content distributor for podcasting or whatnot. The change has been that the post-production that is going in, or the post-production of filming that's going into it, editing and putting the words to the songs on there and stuff like that, making sure it's all nice and tidy before you actually send it out. So the difference has been there's a lot of front-end work on it. Mm-hmm. But technology-wise, yeah, we were fairly set up well for our broadcast. We had just started moving into a broadcast control room that we were bringing all of our audio feeds from our two sanctuaries, our worship center and our sanctuary, into this place. We started running wires for cameras that would be stationary. So, and so that stuff was already kind of in place.
Yeah.
And so the transition to go to this during this time was a fairly simple one because the technology is there and kind of set up. Of course, we've made some changes since then based on the needs and what was going on. But it was a pretty simple transition.
So you were talking about all those things that we were not able to do during this time. I know you were used to preaching every week, and that you didn't have to prepare for that because you were just recording the one sermon, right? So you didn't have to prepare for that. The nursing home, senior adult living facility. Mm-hmm. What's the proper term these days? Anyway. So some things that were kind of forcibly removed from your schedule. So there's a lot of twiddling your thumbs, right? Just really.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It gave me some time to parent Anna and John and Katie. So
I was joking because you're talking about all this video editing, and it takes hours.
Yeah.
Hours.
Yeah.
If you're editing an hour video, I mean it's hours.
Yeah,
that's put into that.
They say it's I don't know who they are, but
it's Anna primarily.
It's about 10 to 12 minutes of editing for every minute of video. Right. So if you have an hour video, then you're looking at 10 to 12 hours of editing and rendering and stuff like that to get that done. Yeah. But there's been other outlets. So for our I do a Tuesday Bible study at one facility. I used to do it at 4:00. Been doing it for 10 years. So now we do it on the telephone. We have a conference line where people can call in, and we have about 15 or 18 of those who were in the group and some new ones that we just get on the telephone.
Right.
And we'll go through our study for 30 minutes or so. So it's kind of like, and what's beautiful is during this time, if there is a silver lining, has been people had always looked at online ministry as an add-on. And to people's credit, churches kind of wanted to keep up with the Joneses. So if this church is doing it, we better do it and stuff like that. And so there's a little bit of the motivation of just kind of keeping up and stuff like that. But now, it is now so essential that most folks, this becomes even the primary way to connect with each other, and to see the sanctuary, to see a worship center, our worship center or whatnot, and so this become their primary way to connect. That these folks who kind of looked at it as an add-on now has become essential. So. Yeah. Without this, and again, I wouldn't say I would wish this, but without this, the silver lining has been now the field is fertile for online ministry to take next steps, even when we come back into a close proximity of worshiping live.
So we were due to start this week. We're going to continue on that plan, even with the spikes and all. Right now we're continuing as planned. What about you guys? What's the plan for St. Paul?
So this is where I'm glad to be number 2. That decision's on number 1's desk, and I know Shane has been in conversation each week with your brother and other minister friends of his, and around the nation, and also in small groups of ministers in South Georgia and Columbus. And, it's kind of like they're talking together saying, what are we doing? We're going to try to coordinate whatnot. And as the spikes in the hospital intakes, that was going to be our threshold. If the hospitals went up, even if the COVID infections went up, if the hospitals went up, then that was going to be our litmus test or our line, and that would be our threshold where we would say we would postpone. And it's very unfortunate that they have. And in fact, one of our hospitals was going through divergence to other hospitals in Atlanta. It's not going to be that way forever, and certainly whether it's right or wrong, that's why I say I'm glad it's not my choice and my decision. But that's where we stand. So we made the decision on. We filmed the sermon for last week on Thursday. He talked about what it would be like, what it was going to be like coming back to worship on the 12th. He decided on Sunday. I think it was even Saturday that we were probably going to postpone that live worship. And so you're watching his sermon, knowing in the back of your mind, we'll probably have to replay this back in August again, okay? But he made the decision. We filmed him, make an announcement, sent it out yesterday.
Yeah. Well, and there's no right. There's no right. There's no wrong. I've had people tell me, well, I was pretty sure you were going to cancel, us coming back, and I don't know. The thing I keep telling our folks is this: I don't know. I hadn't been through one of these before, and we're just trying to do the best we can. So a lot of churches are putting it off for a while longer. And listen, I don't know what'll happen. By the end of the week, by the time you watch this, it may be different for us. I was talking to another pastor, and he said, and I thought this was really wise. He said, from the beginning of this thing, we've just told our people it's a weekly decision. We get together as leadership weekly, and we'll let you know. and so that's about what you can do. But yeah, well, let's shift gears real quick, and then I'll let you go. But you guys have, of course, Anna, your daughter, and then she has an older brother, right?
Yeah.
Now, how old are John and Anna? Anna,
John-
how old are you?
I'm 18.
18. All right, same age as my Sam. And how old's your older brother?
He's 20,
20.
believe it or not.
And then you have a little sister, right?
Yes, she's 6.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was
Yeah, most people
12
pretty
years.
loud in the microphone.
Yeah, most people have asked Lisa and I what we were thinking, and I said we weren't.
was not a thoroughly planned out.
Nah.
You know what? We're bored. Raising kids was too easy. Let's do it again. This is these two are kind of self-sufficient at this point.
I'll tell you, if we had to do it all over again, we would have had teenagers first,
Yeah.
and then kids. Oh no, it's impossible. I've been to biology class, but to look back and Katie actually has 4 parents.
Yeah.
And it's been really easy with Katie.
Yeah.
The jury's still out, which she's going to be like as a junior high and high school teenager.
Cannot imagine. I wish. Do you have any? I wish we should have thought about putting some of that video up that we did with her the other day. You got a long way to go on him.
I like that some have a lot of legs.
They do. Some of them have like almost 6 legs.
Or 4.
Yeah, well, if they've had a bad life.
Sometimes my brother has some bugs in his bed.
Oh yeah.
Because he leaves food in there.
Yeah, he needs to wash better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, what are your parents' names? What are their names?
You know,
Just for the show. Just for the show. What are the kids?
Lisa and John.
Lisa and John. And Lisa's your mom?
Yeah.
And John's your dad?
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right. And so, so you exercise, you want to be a scientist, ants, and birds. What is it that you like about birds?
Well, they have wings and always wanted to fly on one. Maybe an eagle.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna size out of that pretty soon. You're gonna need like an ostrich. You're gonna need an ostrich. Can you fly on the back of an ostrich, you think?
I don't know what that animal is actually.
You don't know what an ostrich is?
No.
All right, good. How old are you?
6.
6. Okay. She's like a cartoon character.
Oh, she is.
She's like somebody drew her up. She's hilarious. Yeah. So she's funny. So that's got to be pretty wild for you guys. I mean, your wife Lisa is a school administrator, right?
Yeah, she's an assistant principal here at Double Churches.
Yeah, we love Double Churches right across the street from our Mount Zion.
Zion.
Yeah. So listen. What I really need to know, just as we finish up, though, is what's Sam been doing? Because he's not at our house ever. Right. So he says he's at your house. Is that right?
He says that when Anna's not there either, and they say that they're at your house.
Is that right?
I'm not
All right.
sure what's going on here, but we might
Maybe we
have
need to put an end to some of this. We need to. Are you guys going to college?
Yes, I am. I don't know about Sam. I'm going to college.
Sam, are you going to college? Yeah, you need to speak up so you can catch it in some of the microphone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you anticipate, Anna? Do you anticipate that you'll be in class?
I'm not sure. I mean, they're planning as if we're going to be in class, but I don't. My mom and I have talked about it. I really don't think. I think we're going to be online at the beginning, which I'm fine with because that means I get to do school in my pajamas.
Does your
so.
mom have any kind of insider information as to what the school system's going to do?
You know, you would think that she does, but she doesn't.
That's the thing. I mean, even at whatever level folks are, you keep hearing like, well, we're making a plan for this and we're making a plan for that. Who in the world knows? Who in the world knows?
It's like us planning our July service back in March.
Right.
I mean, we had no idea back in March what church was going to be like in July.
Yeah.
And here we are. And and we're still doing that. We're still trying to plan out our future. I think Lisa, like me, is very happy to be number 2 and not have to worry about making those decisions.
Right.
But will certainly contribute.
Yeah. Well, Around here, they just think my decisions smell like number 2. So, and with that, we are done. We might have to edit that out. That is Fortcast for this week. John, thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate it. I really wanted to, for our folks to see another minister and what people are doing at other churches, because it's a struggle for everybody. And I know people are going, well, this church is doing that, and this, why aren't we, and so it's good to have, I think, for people to see an interaction between pastors.
I'll do it anytime, Matt. I really will. And what I love is we can never lose sight of the church universal.
Oh, yeah.
That hey, we're all on the same team, and we're doing our best, spinning our wheels this way, that way, or each way. But certainly, even God never promises explanation, but He will always promise revelation.
Yeah.
And that's what we count on as brothers and sisters in Christ as we do this together.
Awesome. Well, appreciate it, man. That's a good word for us to end on. Fist bump. That's Fortcast this week. Thank you, Anna and Sam. John, appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.